Hello everyone, and I am back with my second conspiracy theory video. In this video, it will be mostly me doing the same thing I did last time, covering what theories are possible, which ones I think are not possible at all, and which ones actually came out to be true. And at the very end, I will talk about a theory I came up for SCPs. This, however, I would like to introduce is Slade. This is one of the kitties we're keeping. His name is Slade. Alright, let's get into this. Panspermia. The theory that bacteria survives on a comet and or on some other debris or an alien life form brings it here. Now, the theory is that when a plant, there are two branches to this theory. One is that this is how life naturally occurs throughout planets when the sun goes supernova and destroys a planet. Little bits of water and dirt and all that retain some bacteria, and that bacteria goes flying through space, surviving in the frozen water of the comet, lands on a planet, and bam, the bacteria is there, it starts spreading, multiplying, life is formed. The other half of that is pretty much Prometheus, the beginning of that. An alien comes and either uses itself or uses some sort of primordial ooze to create life on another planet. I find that this could be true. It's a lot more likely that that's true than creationism. And I have a little idea in my head that that's half of how we got here. The other half is the enzymes and RNA created through abiogenesis. A combination of panspermia and abiogenesis creates life. The second one is the government might be making artificial life forms like this one, cybernetics, and putting them out there to survey life forms. Not life forms, people. So, I feel like this somewhat could be true if they trained an animal and took someone like Slade. I named him Slade because he has one deformed eye. I know, it's sad. That. But say the government were to take Slade and replace his eye with a cybernetic eye. And then, say, not use a cat, obviously, because a cat is very hard to train, but say something that they have domesticated and sent out there can spy on someone. And it would be completely unnoticed. It's just an animal. Who knows what the hell it's looking at? This could be a bit of like my personal paranoia when it comes to surveillance, but I feel like that the government of several different countries and continents have done a lot crazier stuff than that. So I feel like that could be a possible one that, no stretching, but it could be true. The universe is on a loop. This theory is that think of the entire universe like a balloon. It expands and then it contrasts. And every single time it does this, all of the matter is broken down into energy, compacted into the densest form it can, and then re-expands. When it does this, everything that has happened just happens slightly differently. Like it's on a loop, small different thing, sort of like Doctor Who. There are solid points and there are fluid points. Each of these points are essential, but one of them can be slightly changed. I apologize for the camera angling. I'm having small technical difficulties. But yeah, I feel like that could be a viable answer for where or not where, but how everything comes into existence. It is an existence, and it's just an existence that keeps repeating itself with small changes. We're just on the loop. Alright, now we are going to move on to theories that I feel like cannot be true. And the very first one we're going to cover is fluoride makes you sick in your water. The government is trying to poison you with fluoride, of all things. That doesn't make any load of sense if you actually look into it. There is not enough fluoride to actually do any damage. Apologies for the interruption. Technical difficulties. Anyway, yeah, the amount of fluoride you would need to drink to harm you is so much higher than what is actually in the drinking water. It's absurd to think that the fluoride in the water is going to kill you. The bees outside are more likely to kill you than the fluoride in the water. We have never been to space. Now, there are two kinds of people. There are the kinds of, and I'm not talking about in general. The two kinds of people like this are, we have never gone to the moon. And, with those kinds of people, I can actually have a decent conversation with because you can sit there and laugh at them. But the people who say that we've never been to space, because there are people out there, look them up, you can find them here on YouTube. People actually believe we've never been to space. And when you tell them that we had satellites rotating around Earth, they come up with apologetics like those aren't actually in space. They're still in the atmosphere and not actually out in orbit. Or some kind of irrational bullshit like that. We have video footage of Elon Musk sending cars out into space. And there are still people who believe we've never been to space. Still. And the third one, we are alone in the universe. Just thinking about that, it can't be true. Even think about you're a creationist. Someone who believes that the universe is 6,000 years old and God created Earth for everyone. All right, let's say you believe that. Looking out into outer space, ignoring the fact that the evidence points to the universe being 13.7 billion years old, let's say it's 6,000. He created all the stars, all the planets out there. Why would there not be life out there? The universe is so big and there is so much matter within it. How could there not be other life forms other than humans or even bacteria on other planets? There has to be some sort of life out there. And for those of you who say, if there is life out there, then why haven't they contacted us? The closest star to us is billions of light, or I'm not sure if it's like tens of billions, but billions of light years away from us. I believe it's like 3 billion. Not exactly sure. That's a long fucking time. Even light takes a long time to reach there. Oh, you got your paws hooked. So imagine how long it would take a radio to reach that far. Alright. Proven theories. Theories that have actually been proven to have happened. I've only got 2 for you this video. My apologies, I don't have that much time on me to research stuff. But the 2 that I have, I'm just going to start with the one that everyone and their fucking mother knows about, which is MK Ultra. The government tried to come up with mind control to develop sleeper cells in other countries and pretty much plant themselves everywhere. MK Ultra was an actual government experiment. There were files on it, and it was proven that the files were destroyed to cover up the United States' crazy antics into thinking they can control the minds of humanity. And the one that some people know about, some people don't. You'll know about it if you paid attention in history class. But the government actually poisoned the alcohol during the Prohibition. It's been proven that they put chemicals, I forget exactly what chemicals, in the distilleries and made it so that if you tried to bootleg alcohol, it would come out poisonous. And everyone thought this who was doing it, but it was only a conspiracy theory because what are you going to do? Go to the government and say, hey, I want you guys to test this because my bootleg alcohol is a little poisonous. So they had to do their own research and they found, yeah, the government is actually doing this. This one's a crawler. All right. This is my SCP theory. For this, you are going to need to know about SCP 262-7 and SCP-001, The Broken God, 682, my personal favorite, and SCP-999. My theory, I subscribe to the idea that 262-7 gave birth to 999, the Tickle Monster, in order to fight off the Scarlet King. The theory is that this entity, this godlike entity known as the Scarlet King, bedded 7 women who bore him 7 children. And the first 6 came to pass. Some of them committed suicide. Some of the births actually came through. It's somewhat believed that SCP-682 is actually the child of the 4th bride. And the Scarlet King is actually the father to 682. That should let you know how powerful the Scarlet King is to create something that can't even be destroyed with nuclear weapons. But the 262-7 was said to, in the books that they found when they found these women, when they recovered them from an occult, they discovered a book that said that each child who was born would bring a catastrophe along with it, and by the seventh one would cause the apocalypse. And they wanted this apocalypse. Well, for some reason, in the books that they recovered, there was a ritual. This ritual involves the most insane, sadistic, crazy stuff that you could ever do to a human being. And they have to do this to this woman so she will not give birth to the destruction of everything. And it came to the point where she was getting used to it, and they had to keep wiping her mind so the trauma would make it so that she wouldn't go into labor. And they kept on spreading this idea that they were doing this to this woman. Why, like, the government would do such a thing. Turns out that they aren't actually doing it. They realized, hey, why would a cult that is trying to spread the apocalypse have a ritual that stops the apocalypse? So they must have planted that information falsely. and discoveries when raiding this cult is supposedly called the Children of the Scarlet King. Doing more raids on their churches found more documentation, and they discovered a legend that's, oh, here's the mama. More documentation that said that the seventh would give birth not to a monster, but to a hero, one that would put an end to the Scarlet King. The Foundation decided, all right, we're going to go along and let her give birth. That birth was 999, the tickle monster. I know, it sounds as abnormal as anything could be. A blob of orange goo that is pretty much like a single-celled organism that whenever it comes into contact with someone, it can cure the deepest of depressions and anxiety. It made 682, a creature that kills any organism on sight, laugh and fall asleep with a smile on its face when it wasn't even a decade old. The theory is that not my theory, but the theory is that once the tickle monster is fully grown and at full power, its mimetic effect will affect everything, causing universal peace, even multiversal peace, and can even quell the rage of the Scarlet King. My theory breaks back to 001, the Broken God. Now, you also need to know about SCP-2399, the Malfunctioning Destroyer. It's supposedly this machine that can warp antimatter as a weapon, and is currently located in the center of the red spot on Jupiter. Yeah, that's the thing that's causing that, apparently. And when SCP-001, the Broken God, was put back together by his followers in the Church of the Broken God with a false heart, a heart that they created. And this creature just ran through Mexico, devouring everything they can until SCP-2399 showed up and did battle with it. That little branch off of the left side of Mexico, yeah, that used to be completely connected, according to this story. And the battle between the two damaged the destroyer, making him the Malfunction Destroyer, and he went off for repairs. And SCP-001 was destroyed. Here is where my theory cuts in. My theory is that SCP-2399 is actually a descendant of the true Broken God. It's like one of the children that the Scarlet King would have. And it destroyed 001 because it was a false image. It wasn't actually his creator, his God. So if you are big on the Broken God, you will know that when the reason why he's broken is because he did war with another god. He is the god of the Broken God is the god of intelligence and wisdom and technology, while this other god, the god of humanity, was one of wild ambition and instinct. And they did war together. My theory is that the Broken God, my theory is that the Scarlet King is actually a descendant of the other god, the one of humanity and flesh. Each god, the Broken God contained the god of flesh through breaking itself. Now, neither of them can do battle and have their influence over humanity. So they must have their own avatars, their own children. If this is the case, then it would make sense that the Scarlet King would be trying to create monsters that would drive humanity to go more instinctual, and the Broken God would have a being like the Malfunctioning Destroyer to make sure that the Flesh God's entities don't get out of hand. So yeah, that I sort of came to the realization that perhaps the Scarlet King and the god that the Broken God has trapped might be connected in some way. I'd love to get some feedback on my own SCP theory, and I would love to know about some other theories that you guys would like me to look into. This is going to be a long video. Say bye to Slade. Say bye, Slade. Bye, Slade.